Hi, I'm Tlish and you're watching Coffee and Clicks. If you enjoy my content, please like and subscribe, and click on the link tree found in the description of this video for links to my media content. Enjoy, and don't forget, wake up and smell the clicks. Hi, I'm Tlish and you're watching Coffee and Clicks. Today, we welcome Aries Edge, Joe Pangrazio, who is the creator of Clix Nexus. Aries Edge from Dishin Up Clix, Joe Pangrazio from Clix Nexus, and WizKids judge Brian Galley. So, hello everybody.
Let's go.
And we're going to do a lot of talking today about the new rules changes because the WizKids Comprehensive Rulebook just kind of got released about a few weeks ago. So, and I know a lot of people have questions about the rules and are wanting to acclimate themselves to the new rules, the new rules changes that just happened in 2021. But I want to start by acknowledging that the fact that this past weekend, Scott Porter held, along with The Rock, along with Howard Brock and the Rock organization, they teamed up to raise over $30,000 for the Huntington's disease. An amazing event. I had a pleasure in participating at this weekend. What do you guys think about that event? I mean, you guys have anything to say about it, or?
I'm amazed that it went as well as it did. I mean, I'm going to make that sound like I'm knocking it. It was just blew me out of the water with how good they had the Roll20 setups, all the various macros they programmed in, and just the amount of money that they raised is mind-boggling.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of those the macros programmed in and all of the tokens and stuff comes from Jay Patel, I think, from Team Sasquatch, and he did a lot of that work. I know he's talked to me behind the scenes about the different workings of Roll20 that he programs into. Yeah, I mean, the event was really well run, I thought, and I mean,
got race cars going on outside, so I'm sorry if you can pick that up.
No, actually, we
a dirt bike just ripping up the streets. So,
no, Aries, what did you think about the event?
Again, I mean, I don't want to knock it. With online, there are a lot of hiccups and things like that, and I will say that it looks like they learned a lot from holding nationals and worlds on my wife just walked in, so I had to angle my camera. Oh, she's ducking. She's giving me a snack. So it seems like what are you doing? This is so stupid. So it seems like they actually they learned a lot from some of the I don't want to say mistakes, but some of the problems they had with nationals and with worlds last year. I mean, big shout out to all the volunteers: Aaron Constantine Morgan, Brian Dormier, Brandon Shastine, Alex Kuz, all the people who were involved, who donated their time to actually, I don't know, stay up till 3 a.m. for like the Silver Age event and then get up the next morning to do modern and things like that. I heard a lot of good feedback about the battle royals. Mm-hmm. That people had a really good time with the generation. The generating of boosters was pretty good. It wasn't seemed like it was clumped up or anything like that. The clickable dials were really good. Yeah, Yeah, they raised over $30,000 for a really great cause, and I mean, it shows that the Heroclix community won't let down people when it comes to charity events and things like that. Also, um, now that like I just want to put a disclaimer out there, and I hate to be the person to bring it up and kind of like be that guy, but there are some people in the community that are selling bootleg Scott Porter pogs.
I saw that today.
So
Yes.
please reach out to, again, I'm an admin over on Heroclix International Exchange on HIE Roundtable. Pangrazio is one of the rules chat admins. Reach out to any of us if you see some of these things pop up, so we can educate and kind of let people know, like, hey, these aren't real, you know, pogs. It's people just trying to take advantage of the community. I think the person was trying to sell them for like $45 a piece too. So if you ever see something and you think that it's suspect, it probably is. Reach out to us and we will coordinate with the other admins of pages to take care of that as swiftly as possible.
Yeah, I mean, do we know actually what the pogs look like or feel like yet, or because I know WizKids has, before, when they make bystanders, they usually make them in the Dyson token pack, and they feel like poker chips.
It looks like, this is the problem, is that they actually put up the information and the images online, which can easily be photoshopped and ripped, and it looks like this person was putting them on black and white poker chips. I don't think that they're going to from what I saw, from what the image looked like, they may just be doing it where it's like a seamless pog, but I don't think we've seen an actual final product. We've just kind of seen like the images that they've shown us. So I can't necessarily give a description of what the pog is going to look like. But if people have them in hand right now, they're probably not legit, because The Rock and all of them haven't sent anything out to anybody. Brian might know more, being on the WizKid side of things as a judge. So he might be privy to more information on that and can elaborate, maybe not.
The law requires I answer no.
That's what I thought.
I mean, my experience participating in the event, I thought it was really well run. It was 5 rounds of Swiss. I only participated in the Saturday event. It was 5 rounds of Swiss. I started around 11 o'clock, and we ended around, I want to say, I mean, it took a while, that first game, to get everything started, but
yeah,
they did have things rolling, and it for me, I didn't make top cut, so I ended around like 8, but I heard that it went on to like 2:30 in the morning, because I saw
like 3 a.m.
I saw my notifications in Discord going off while I was asleep. So, but I still think it went well. I think still, for like a huge tournament like that, they ran it pretty well. Joe, what was your thoughts on the tournament? Do you have any thoughts, or?
Yeah, Joe.
Just the big thing. Hey, Eric.
Tell us what to do, Joe.
The big thing, and I actually said this on my little, because Heroclix needs another podcast, my little podcast. The big thing that I think everyone should take away from this is how much money the community raised for charity. I would love to see, when in-person events come back, we're all going to travel, we're going to be playing competitive, we're going to be doing all the things we're doing. The one thing I would like to see carry out of all of this are more charity tournaments with more involvement. If that becomes what online is just charity, I'm good with it. It brings everybody in, it gives everyone a shot at prizing. And I mean, for any gaming community to raise over $30,000 for any cause is astounding. And everyone, like, directly, everyone did what they could. Everyone should kind of, give yourselves a little pat on the back, like, hey guys, we did it. Like, we did it as a community. So that's my big takeaway.
Yeah. Let's just jump right into some other questions. Can you guys each talk a little bit about your history as judges? Because I know Brian's a judge, Joe is a judge, and really is well versed in the Heroclix rules. And also maybe your history as a content creator, Aries, or like, what do you guys think?
I'm a judge.
I was waiting for him to say it.
Oh yeah, I didn't. Yes. So so all of your histories as a judge then.
Oh no, I'll just directly content creation. I don't judge shit. So I'll let Brian jump right in on that one.
Officially, I started judging back. Okay, what worlds was it? The one in Philly. Anthony Barnstable couldn't make it out, and I was known to some of the WizKids people as a somewhat rules knowledgeable guy, and I'm in the area, so I got roped in, and I guess they like me because they keep asking me to come back and do more.
That's good.
You look stressed out that weekend, by the way.
Oh god, I was run ragged.
You were just eyes wide open the whole time.
My favorite memory, not my favorite memory, but my favorite memory of Brian at that event was he checked my build for single worlds. And I was running Toy Soldier on that build. And he just goes, Toy Soldier, nice.
I love that Toy Soldier.
I miss that Toy Soldier.
Yeah. It was a fun weekend, though. Yeah, I like Memphis, but I don't mind going back to Philly again.
The PAX needs to get their stuff together. That was people give WizKids a lot of crap for that event.
Oh, okay.
It was.
You guys should have. You could have seen it before everyone came in.
I did.
Fighting with all the worker guys to get things where they needed to be and get everything hooked up. It was. The event went well once it got going, but it was a nightmare getting that set up.
You can imagine that conversation. Hey, we need this over here. Yeah. We'll get to it.
So I'll jump in on that because I actually snuck in to come say hello. I snuck in, said hello. Kenny was losing his mind. Brian and the rest of the judges were all kind of like bebopping around and stuff, and they were trying to get the prizing behind the curtains and whatnot. And I was like, hey man, I hope everything's going great. I hope everything's good. Like, do you need me to do anything? Like, do you need help with anything? And Kenny's like, all the tables are messed up. They put them in the wrong direction. And he's like, they can't change them now. And he was just losing it. So right from like before the event even started, it was already off to a rough start. Because I don't know if anybody remembers how it was set up, but they were set up like the long way. So to get into the middle, you were literally just rubbing your cheeks against like 13 people to get to like the middle.
Which event is this?
It's Philadelphia Worlds.
I remember that. Yes, I remember that clearly.
I played you in the
yes, we played each other. Yeah, you crushed me.
I wouldn't say that. I had taken a bad beat against Goblin King, and you were playing Starro. I think
I was playing Starro. You played. No, I just I was raw at the time. I was pretty new, and I didn't know how useful the tank really could be.
I learned you up quick on that because I was playing an Alpha Strike team with a tank.
Yeah.
But you were also playing a very hard to pilot Starro team where there was a lot of moving parts. You had to move around a lot of Starro fights and things like that.
I still went 2-2, so I was happy with myself. Yeah,
that's all that matters, man. Sneaking in by hook or by crook, getting in.
Yeah.
But going from that, like I'll jump in. I mean, I've been judging since the old days when you actually had to be sponsored by another judge. You had to pass an exam, and then you could level yourself up. Like this was back when Tops ran it, where you could level yourself up to be like level 3 and level 4 judges. I was actually a level 4 judge in New England. Which was right below like level 5, which is like the top of what you can do. I ran a Supernova pre-release, which was like nowadays pre-releases, all you have to do is order the product and like you can say, okay, cool, I'm running a pre-release. To like run a pre-release back then, you had to show and prove that you've been running events with like a maximum amount of people, because they would send you out product early, and then their prizing was so the uniques in the sets back in the day were kind of like your super rares or chases. They're like your hard to get figures or the unique sets. So what they did for prizing back then would they would send you all of the uniques, but they were promo figures. So they had the purple rings. So you couldn't technically play them in tournament play, but they were more sought after because they were the promo figures. So that's what your prizing was for the pre-release events. Tops kind of folded, WizKids kind of went to the wayside. And then I jumped back in recently. Pangrazio has been down to a couple. I think he's been down to one event. Was it a Worlds or excuse me? Was it a WizKids Open or was it a?
It was a WKO.
It was a WKO. It was a sealed WKO. You pulled Thor, I believe, the Chase Thor.
I did.
And so that's how that shows you how long ago one of our last events was it was the Captain America and the Avengers sealed event for. So I think now I've done two state championships. I have a third one sitting at Sarge's now.
Nice. Okay, so you're currently judging at Sarge's right now.
Well, I mean, everything is still on fire.
Right.
So we're trying to do the best that we can. I mean, it won't be a technical state championship because of how it fell and because of rock points and so on and so forth. But we still have all of the prizing still waiting, and it'll be an event probably later in the summer after the Clix Cup. And it'll be, I don't know, I'm trying to do something fun. I'm trying to do something different. I'm thinking of doing like a mega sealed Silver Age event where you can either purchase 2 to 5 boosters to make a team out of, or buy 2 boosters and have up to 3 mulligans. So people can
pile of boosters.
Absolutely. A lot. I mean, you can speak on it. The people that play in my neck of the woods really enjoy sealed events, and a lot of guys haven't been able to get out to buy product or go to their local gaming stores. And I know that my venue still has a good amount of product, so buy it, build it, and let's play. So yeah. I've talked too much. Someone else.
Well, so Joe, what's your experience with judging, and also if you want, talk about Clix Nexus a little bit.
What's Clix Nexus?
I don't know.
So I'm just a lowly venue judge. I don't really matter. But my friend and my friend opened a store about 10 years ago. We talked about it, and he goes, "Well, let's put the money up and I'll open a comic shop." And I told him, because I had been helping another friend before that, we should do Clix. No, I have no friends. I have people that aren't sick of my shit yet. But I said we should do Clix because I had played. I didn't realize at the time, but I had played like in the first 2 years, and then played at home and didn't go out to tournaments or anything. So we started up tournaments, and it just became, well, who's going to be the judge? I'm like, I guess I'll be the judge. And then I'm a crazy person, so I just read the rules, studied the rules, went on a website that we won't talk about, and then got promoted up through there because I have a problem with being right and knowing things.
No.
And so people are like, "Hey, you should do things." Okay, I'll do things. Which actually led to the formation of Clix Nexus because something happened a couple years ago where I realized the community was really close to losing 20 years of Heroclix information. It only existed one place at that point, and if that one place something happened, we would just lose all those dials. They wouldn't exist anymore. And so I said, well, this was after I won my world championship, and
let's go Maggot.
Yes.
Yeah, Maggot. And I was just like, well, I mean, we need this. Like, this is history. I people that talk to me, I really am into Heroclix history. I love the history of the game. I still have the original rule books, and I was reading it to Jay Solomon a couple weeks ago just for fun. I'm like, hey, this is how things used to work.
Absolutely.
So, I love the longevity of the game. I still have my Hellboy Heroclix that are Heroclix compatible. I literally just rebought that map because I had it and I played it so much that it was all torn to hell. And I was like, I got it. I love this map. It's one of my favorite maps. I got to get it again. And so it's important to me. And that's really, so when I'm doing Nexus, that's what I want to do. But obviously, new stuff. But like, we got maps on. Shout out to the Eagles. They helped me out with that. Dormier again, Corey Franklin. They're a big help with all that. So that's just what I want to do. I want to be a place people can go and not have to feel bad about the game, like not feel like the game's best days are behind us. Like, no, it's.
What are you talking about? The game's gonna die in like 5 minutes.
He's been on life support for like 4 years.
Yeah.
We really need his turtles back. That's what we really need.
Silver Age, man. Turtles are back, except for the first wave. Like everything else is back.
Yeah.
Why do you think I love Silver Age so much? I'm like, turtles? I can play turtles? Okay, I don't care. Nothing else matters. I can play turtles again.
So yeah, you like turtles, but also I know that you really like Maggot. What was your thought process behind selecting Maggot as the that figure that you designed for, or you helped design for Winning Worlds?
Well, so Maggot is Devin's favorite character. We'll lead with that. Devin obviously being one of my teammates. Our other teammate showed up still drunk for the first 3 rounds of Worlds, so that was a fun day.
Well, his name is Richard Leo. Richard Lee.
Sparky. His name is Sparky. And I think it was when we made it to like top 8, we all kind of looked at each other because I knew Sparky through other friends. Shout out Colossus. Jay Solomon had given us Devin. That was the first time we were all kind of meeting and playing together. So when we made top 8, we kind of looked at each other and went, we're getting close. We should probably talk about what we're going to make if we get it. And Sparky, for all his flaws, I love him. But he's the same as me. We have an opinion of you should make something that never got made. So when
Absolutely.
you say Maggot, you say an X-Man. I loved the X-Men cartoon as a kid. I knew Maggot was this weird character that, digested via these giant slugs. Devin's like, well, I really like Maggot. I'm like, all right, cool. Let's make Maggot. I don't care. Let's rock and roll.
Here's a legit question. If you guys don't make Maggot, do you think it ever gets clixed?
I don't think so. I really don't.
Not unless like he gets a resurgence in the comics for some reason.
Well, that's the funny thing. I think if I remember my timeline, I don't know, but I think after we submitted like the first draft or whatever, he showed back up in one of the X-Men books after the first time like 10 years. And I'm just like, oh, that's weird.
Look at this.
I was actually thinking, so I don't know if you know, because you guys know a lot about like the different characters and the history of different characters in comics. When I was putting together my team for the Porter Invitational, and I was trying to do the family theme, and I put together Summer's theme, but I was doing a lot of research on like bloodlines and stuff like that for like, who's related to who. And I saw somewhere that that Franklin Richards is somehow related to he marries somebody and then has a son, Hyperdrive or something like that. Is Hyperdrive like, you guys heard of him, or like Franklin Richards' son with
It was the Days of Future Past alternate reality. He marries Rachel.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And then he has a son. Is the son any worthwhile as like a Clix figure or anything? Because I don't think they've ever Clixed him.
I mean, any figure can be. I just did, because I do Who the Clix on Clix Nexus, all about the comic history of these characters. And Hyperdrive is one of those, it feels like they were trying to do Cable again, because there's this really convoluted thing where like he travels through time and space to do something to the family, and then they end up kind of erasing him from existence because he becomes like a villain. It's weird. But any character is worthwhile. Especially like that. Like, if it's only going to get made once,
Yeah.
I would love to see it made.
Yeah. I also wanted, so let's talk about the actual rule book here. So the 2021 comprehensive rule book came out maybe like I think it was May 5th. It was a couple weeks ago, and I think WizKids had a purpose in mind when they changed the rules. I mean, they obviously did it on purpose.
It's where you're wrong. It's a dartboard, and we just threw and
just completely.
Pin the tail on the rule book.
Yeah.
What's gonna really piss them off? Yeah. Put that in there. Pushing damage.
But I mean, obviously, they wanted to make the game better. Do you think they accomplished their goal in making the game better? And what were their goals in making the game better? How did they want to make the game better?
They got into this a lot when they were doing those design insights. The goal was to simplify the game down, make a lot of the interactions a lot more easy to wrap your head around. Try to trim off all the corner cases and just make a game you could sit down and learn more or less in one sitting, at least the basics. I've seen some people compare it to like board gamifying it to a degree, and I think that there's some merit to that. Just make it less clunky so it's easier to learn, and you don't get the weird little. What do you mean I can't outwit the guy right next to me just because he's in a bush? I can see him; he's right there. I can punch him. It's those sorts of frustrating things. A new player encounters that, and it takes them out of the game. It rubs them the wrong way. Just simplifying the game to get to that point where it's, it makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll jump in there. I mean, I think that they're going in the right direction. They wanted to simplify things. They wanted more, I guess, one of the articles said like feel good moments. It was bad to make decisions and then be punished for it if the dice rolls didn't, go your favor, which, I mean, it's kind of part of the game, risk reward, but I get it. I understand why they made some of the decisions they made. As Brian kind of pointed out, they wanted to streamline the rules and kind of simplify things, but in doing so, they kind of also created some more corner cases and some more loopholes that, again, will have to be smoothed out. With any new, I mean, when you're restructuring a game as in-depth as Heroclix is, you're going to smooth out some spots, and there's going to be some rough edges that are left over. I think the most glaring one at this moment is like the free and at no cost, like wordings that are still kind of up in the air. The incapacitate that's been brought up multiple times, and how that's going to work out. So obvious. I mean, people see it now and they want to chirp on it and be like, well, you're trying to make the game simpler and you create it. Yeah, well, no shit. It's going to happen. Like, give them time to address it. It's not like we have anything huge going on at this moment. It's not like we have games in person. It's not like, I mean, we have time. I hate to say it, but this was kind of the best time to roll this all out, because it's not like you have to transition from a WizKids Open and then another big tournament next week. And it's like, oh, hey, by the way, we just changed all the rules. So, hey, good luck with that tournament. People have time to digest it. They have time to give feedback to Heroclix. WizKids has been saying, hey, email us. Let us know what you think. And again, be constructive with your criticism. Don't just be like, I hate this. Like, all right, why? Give them a reason. Give them actual feedback that they can, chew on and be like, hey, they have a good point. You've wanted interaction with WizKids. They're giving it to you. So dive in, give them a good opinion, give them feedback, give them, hey, maybe you should try this with this. Maybe you should try that. But the way that I mean, one of the biggest things too, and again, I feel like I'm long-winded, but I have a lot of really big opinions about this, is people are really upset about Pulse Wave. Pulse Wave just went back to what Pulse Wave used to be a long time ago. Pangrazio being a purist and a historian like myself, Pulse Wave was basically just meant to do that, just to ping damage in a big, huge, space. It wasn't meant to be a one shot just to wipe out somebody. So it's kind of gone back to the way it is. And also with the way that Perplex is, people were using Perplex as kind of, I don't want to say a crutch, but that's what it was. I'm going to dump it all into damage. And now I've got this huge cannon that wasn't meant to be a 6 damage cannon. So we're going to take that out. But also on the flip side of it, you now have range combat expert and close combat expert pairing with your charge and your hypersonic and your running shot. So that's kind of supplementing some damage now. So it's just they just basically shifted over how you can play the game and still have damage output without just dumping a bunch of perplex into your damage slot. So it's people just being upset that they can't do it instead of thinking outside of the box now of, okay, I actually have to strategically place empower and enhancement on guys. Duke Thomas is a character that stands out immediately that I'm like, I can't wait to build around him now because he's awesome. I can't wait to play the Atom and Micron together as well because they've also gotten power. And if I balance them out, I can deal big damage. So you still have those opportunities to do those things. You're just not doing it the old fashioned way by just, popping 5 big Tonys on my team and just bumping everything and throwing them out there. So
that point, something like Sky Tyrant, it opens up design elements because something like Sky Tyrant under the old Perplex rules, he's already crazy. He's a great piece. Absolutely. He's insane if you could just say, I'm going to perplex his damage. I'm going to send him to the other side of the map. He's going to flurry for 6 each and then come back to my side of the map.
Absolutely.
That's insane.
That's worse in my opinion almost than Vulture. Yeah. To the fact that you'll never be able to touch Sky Tyrant. I will be able to go across the map, crush 2 things, and come straight back and be like, come get me. And guess what? I'm going to do it next turn.
Which is why people use the power gem with him.
But again,
even then, still.
But again, power gem wasn't getting a lot of play.
Yeah.
And then the rules changed, and now power gem is like, oh man, I can't wait to play. It breathes life back into objects and figures that people didn't want to play before. And now that they look at it, they're like, oh, wow, under the new rules, this figure is pretty outstanding. I can't wait to dust this off and play it. It opens up and broadens what the meta and competitive can be now because you're not just kind of boxed into the same things that everyone was playing because under the old rules, this is what was good. With the new rules, it opened up a whole bunch of different things. Krakoan Revival, Brad Broyles, big shout outs to him. He piloted that thing to a 2nd place in Modern. And it's a brand new thing. And people, when it came out, were like, I don't know about it. It's legit. It's legit.
You got to get out of that mindset of, just because I'm giving up some points, I'm going to lose. One of my best teams was a Grasshopper arcade team. I would generally give up 500-600 points in a game just from Grasshopper constantly reviving, but I would win.
In the grand scheme of things, you're still getting the W. It's people are going to have to, I hate to sound like Yoda, you're going to have to unlearn and then relearn how to do things. You're going to have to be uncomfortable in some cases to where you're used to killing 10 points and then backing up and trying to barrier yourself in or play keep away. Like there are a lot of teams that are built around pushing pressure now. Fantastic Four with Wolverine is going to keep coming back. Things like that. Like we're going in a whole new direction with these new rules. And there are still really good barrier teams and things like that that can still control. Incapacitate is amazing now. I love it more than I did before, just for the fact that I can quake with it. I can multi-target with it. Like I could literally lock your team down and then next turn smash them again and then lock them down again potentially just by the way it splashes. So think outside the box.
I mean, I agree with you, Aries. I mean, empower and enhancement are just like Rockstar powers now. Like they weren't before, and now they totally are. I like how you have to use them because you have to position around the board in order to make them useful.
It really does add to the strategic depth of the game. Placement matters more now. That's
now shield.
That's a good thing.
Too.
Oh yeah.
And actually, next bump. Yeah, shield. Yeah, And also, like, actually, I've used Pulse Wave to my advantage, even with the new rules. The one damage. I mean, it's still very useful power. Like people knock it as being not totally nerfed, but I mean, I think Pulse Wave is still very useful.
It is. It's useful for what it was designed to be. We got to this crazy point in Heroclix where we were doing astronomical numbers of damage with ultra heavies, and with just the way that things were trending in a direction, and good for WizKids to notice that. They're like, this is at an unhealthy level of like damage output. I can have a guy hypersonic with an ultra heavy deal 8 damage and then duck out of the way. Like, so they realized, oh man, we made some, like, it was good at the time, but then they introduced other figures and stuff, and they were like, oh shit, we made mistakes. We gotta start backpedaling this power creep.
Well, what would you guys say about, like, okay, some people might say that the complexities of the game, the way it was before, make it more fun, like things like pushing, or things like knockback damage, or different things that made the game more complex, and now they're trying to simplify it, but that the complexities are part of the intricate like art of the game that makes it fun.
Oof. It's a tough nut to crack. I mean, fun is kind of a subjective thing. I really like complex systems because I like rules and the way they all work together. So I certainly do understand that argument, but at the same time, I want people to play the game with me. And I think the way they're going now, the game is still super deep on complexity. This is not, we're not getting down to like checkers or tic-tac-toe here. Right. I think it's in a much healthier place, and it's going to be a lot easier to rope people in to play the game. So, thumbs up.
Joe, what do you think about that?
I think once we get back to a lot of tournaments and a lot of in-person play, the game might actually be more complex than it was before. I think what's going to will trip up a lot of people are all the interactions. All the things that combo now. Remembering there's 3 powers, and I can choose to use. There's 2 of them I can choose to use one of. Da 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 da. I don't think that's bad, but I think that people. Aries has said it. There was a lot of knee jerk. There was a lot of this is not what was, and I don't like it because it's not what was. I think now that we have the comp, no, it is a lot of what was. They just took things out. Now, I still like knockback damage, but I can live without it. But I do like it. It feels, it's one of those things where it feels like a superhero battle. It feels like, oh, you're knocking people into walls. You're knocking people off elevators. So I get that. Yeah. But if that's the worst thing we lost was knockback damage, all right, cool. Yeah.
Knockback is, I think, the one thing I miss. Really.
Yeah. Right there.
I definitely. There was like 3 or 4 teams where I would just, part of the point was, okay, I hit them with this, and then I knock them off, and that's going to do 2 more damage, and then they're here, yeah. And it's gone, but that's fine, because now I can, charge, flurry, close combat expert, and see what happens.
Yeah, I'm right there with you guys as well. Knockback damage is probably the one thing. There was nothing feel bad about it. It was comic accurate. It made rolling doubles actually feel special, because it was that little extra flair to the game where it was like, roll a critical hit. What's the first thing you're like? Awesome. Like, I'm dealing an extra damage. If you position yourself, if it was one of those, like, you pat yourself on the back kind of moments, like, man, I positioned myself properly. I got the knockback that I needed to. I dumped them off the side of the building to deal the extra 2 damage. It was another cog in the strategic, machine where you can, ping them off of here to knock them. They should put them on click 5, and then this guy. So I'll miss it for sure. But again, as echoed, if it's the one thing that I'm gonna, cry about, then It's not worth crying about it.
Are there any other powers or not powers, rules changes that you think are like the least popular that have been getting the most kind of pushback from the community, that maybe you don't like or that other people don't like?
I think the one that caught everyone off guard and will catch everyone off guard is how much people liked pushing damage. I'm fine with it going away because Magic got better, so that's fine by me. But there's actually a local venue that I don't go to that much that is a very casual venue. And a buddy of mine was just telling me a couple weeks ago, all day it was, but why can I choose to push? I want to push. I don't want to be on this click anymore. I want to be on a different click. And he's like, no, it doesn't exist anymore. Pushing doesn't exist. You can't choose to do it because it doesn't exist. I think that is something that no one would have thought was going to be an issue.
Yeah.
That now people are like, why can't I push? I want to push.
Yeah.
And the flyers. Flyers is the other thing that I personally think will become an issue. Maybe it won't. I could certainly be wrong, but maybe some PJ or Adam will figure out a way to make it a big problem.
What about carrying other characters without a penalty to your movement? What do you?
I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
It makes Green Lantern team ability a lot better, it was a mediocre ability to start where you could carry, but you had so many different things you had to worry about. They can't be flyers. You have to, now I'm doing all these calculations. Okay, I'm carrying this many people. I got it down. Now it's simple. You can carry flyers. You don't have to sit there and do math. I'm moving 11. Let's go. Hop on my little squirrel back and let's go.
Yeah.
So.
And that's where the game was already heading. You already could carry smaller characters at one point without a penalty. The penalty was changed from always being -2 to -1 per character. Like, we were moving there the last 10 years of just getting rid of that penalty. It was happening. Whether we all knew it or not, it was happening.
It makes the game more aggressive, I guess. You just get your guys, you get to the fight, you roll the dice.
Yeah, it does make the game more aggressive, I guess. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, like, because I was thinking, like, you can. I mean, I've noted this with like a couple of different figures, like that Green Lantern, for example, the Super Rare Green Lantern from Wonder Woman. He's got running shots, so he can carry 8 people while running shotting.
Yeah.
Hands down, probably the best Hal Jordan we have ever seen, bar none.
So
and if that means that we can make more lanterns as good as that Hal Jordan, we can get a really good Kyle, a really good John Stewart, things like that, because the team abilities are going to be trending that way.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get another War of Light out there. Let's do a whole lantern set and just and go nuts. I mean, people are already going crazy, and I think we saw. I think Scott Crampton played a lantern theme team for Silver Age. That was real good. I mean, lanterns always sell. Lanterns people love themselves some lanterns. So,
and so so if those are like the least popular power or rules changes, what would be the most popular rules changes that people, I guess, love about the rules?
I've been seeing a lot of love for a change to Force Blast. We can target within range and line of fire now. Close combat expert, range combat expert. I don't think I've seen anyone hating on just passive stat bumps.
Yeah.
Willpower. I think willpower is going to be the champion because it's on so many pieces. And my friend Ricky and I were playing the other day, and we were playing characters with great size, and just the option, the chance of I get to go every turn if I roll well.
Yeah.
It's a 3 through 6, great. Right? Is great size is 3 through 6?
3 through 6 willpower.
66.
We had a couple cosmic powers and stuff, so we had some standard willpower in there as well. But just we play this game to roll dice. No one wants to admit it, but it is part of it. We like rolling dice. So the more chances we get to roll dice, the happier we are.
I'm happy that penetrating psychic blast combos with energy explosion again.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah.
That was
So good back when it was available, and now that it is again, like we're gonna see some of these triple target guys with Psychic Blast and Energy Explosion. I mean, targeting 6, 7 characters and just splashing penetrating damage everywhere. I'm cool with it.
yeah.
I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I mean it combos with hypersonic too. You can hypersonic
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
Pensai.
Yeah, I mean it's. I think the big one I enjoy too is being able to target multiple characters in close combat if you have the lightning bolts. I think that's pretty. I think that's pretty awesome. Like you don't have to quake now to target guys that are close to you. You can. All right, I've got 3 lightning bolts. I'm gonna target this one, this one, this one, just so I have more probability of making a hit on something. So
Yeah.
that was a good one.
Minor thing.
Oh, go ahead, Brian.
So it's just such a minor thing, the close combat bolts, but it feels so much better than it was before.
Yeah.
Well, I've been noticing, and I think this is another goal that WizKids had with changing the rules, is that they wanted to make close combat stronger.
Mhm.
And I think they did a good job of doing that. I think with the rules to breakaway and the rules to, just like the way they changed, like the multiple targeting for close combat. Yep. I think they did a good job of emphasizing close combat.
Dolphin symbol, you got to be within so many squares to be able to target. It's like a pseudo stealth. I think another one people actually liked too was the theme team probability control change and the only +3 to theme team roll. It was getting a little bit to where it was like, oh, I got +11 cosmic.
Yeah.
And people were kind of turned off by how powerful maps are. And it was like, all right, so I have to play a theme team just to be able to possibly not get pinned down on a map that I don't like. So it kind of balanced that out. I've heard a lot of good things about that.
Yeah.
Aries, you know who has dolphin symbol? Turtles.
King Shark. Black Manta.
No, we're talking about turtles.
Yep.
I like turtles.
I think that's a really good point. I mean, what was I thinking?
We're mesmerized by the turtles. I know.
I was mesmerized by the turtles. I had a point. Oh yeah, no, the changes to the map roll. I think the map bonus in the beginning of the game, when you roll for map, that's a great change, because just like Aries was saying, you don't get stuck on a map that people were becoming map dependent with their teams.
Absolutely.
And it was deciding games like that, and it still can, but now you don't really build around it as much anymore, or you're discouraged from building around just one map because you might not win that map. I mean, I in the Scott Porter Invitational, I had a 5-character theme team, and I lost map every time. I don't think I won map once, and that's good though. I actually was okay with that, because I wasn't complaining, because I think that's balanced. Like, I don't think I should win map just because I have 5 characters on my team that are themed. I mean, I'd rather sacrifice that than always play a tournament and get stuck against a +11 Justice League Batman Prime team with and putting me on an open map. I hate that.
Yeah. And again, it opens up the competitive play too, to where people don't feel like they have to be dependent on building theme teams. They can build a non-theme team, and all they have to worry about is, okay, they're going to get a +3 to their map roll, not it's, you're not walking in going, all right, I already lost map roll because they have a +10. So yeah, it opens up to people being a little more flexible to build a non-theme team and be competitive.
Yep.
Yeah. So what do you guys notice? I mean, as being judges, what do you notice are the most common rules questions that you get? Especially with the new rules, the comprehensive rules that just came out 2 weeks ago.
At no cost.
Yeah.
Powers at no cost. That's the big thing right now, especially the passive powers at no cost. That's the huge thing right now that there's no good official answer for.
Right.
But once we crack that nut, a lot of things kind of fall into place and hopefully will just make sense. But that is the big thing that is tripping people up, and it's the big thing that some people are trying to abuse.
Yep.
And that's it. Like that.
Yeah.
And there's other things, of course, but like for the weight, that is the huge. Especially because what the lasso gives Incap as free right now.
Yeah, and that technically doesn't even work with the rules it was printed under. It's
right.
Yeah, it's going to get errata, but it's just
So
gotta wait.
could you explain that? What I don't understand. So what's going on with the lasso that makes it kind of messed up? What's going on? With that?
The Wonder Woman lasso says that the equipped character can use Incap as free. The issue is that Incap is not any sort of action. It's just a passive power that works when you take attacks.
Okay.
So if you use Incap as free, nothing happens. It's not, nothing's there telling you to make an attack or. I mean,
and then the other issue is there was some conversation in the design articles that, well, if you have these passives as free, you'll be able to make an attack or a close attack or what have you, and then apply those passives, which is fine. Except that then people go, well, if I take this lasso and I equip it to a character with blades, I can use Incap as free and then roll the blades instead. And it's like,
yep.
I'm not going to let that fly.
Right.
But I know people are going to, it's going to come up because people go, because I can equip it to anybody. So pick a character with a huge, Sky Tyrant has blades, I'm pretty sure JSAClix. I have one, I think he does. Equip him with a lasso. Now I can charge flurry and do a free Incap with blades with exploit. No. That's
Right.
not how this is going.
Yeah.
So is that technically, like, the way it's worded, is that technically legal right now, or all that?
Technically, yeah.
Super.
Yeah. But I mean,
that-
you have to assume that Incap is free is going to be just make an attack and everything goes, and I don't think that's going to happen. That's not meant to be a hidden look into what's coming, because I don't know, but pretty sure that's not going to be fine.
Looking,
The other big thing that got
looking
asked
at it,
to
it's
me,
not the intent.
Right.
the big thing that got asked to me, I think when the PAC dropped for Clix Cup, was Batman Prime. You put Commissioner next to Batman Prime, and Batman Prime can target everyone when he uses penetrating sight or when he uses his printed attack powers.
Mm-hmm.
So the question was, well, if I just put Commissioner next to him, can he just make an attack across the map for free? And I'm like, no. I'm not. No, that's not what happened. He's going to have to be given an action to specifically use those powers.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him errata to be like range, making an attack across the map.
Right. Something.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose that it just makes sense that a lot of these types of, like, kind of loophole-y things are coming up, because that's just natural when you're changing an entire rule system from one system to another that's been set in place for so many years, and now they have to kind of redo everything. So, like, I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of these types of little things that happen.
These were the wrinkles that I was talking about before. You simplified certain rules and things like that, but by doing so, you've created these other cases where we need to now smooth these out because they're abusable.
Yeah.
And and at the end of the day, it's not that big a deal. It's just they have to have time.
Yeah.
That's all it comes down to. Because there are, they could errata something to where it's just a blanket errata and it fixes everything. I'm not saying they're going to. I don't know if they want to, but that's something they could do.
Yeah. We saw that with the 2017 rules, where odds are we're going to get some sort of blanket errata and then a couple little surgical edits to a handful of figures that don't get covered.
And then a crazy person named Joe will go through and rewrite all the special powers.
God bless you, man.
It It gets used, which still astonishes me.
I had a couple of questions that people asked me online about different rules. I'm not sure if these are all pertain to the new rules. Some of them might just be general rules questions. The first one is, could you take a few moments to go over what mind-controlled characters can and can't do? Things like sidestep, phasing teleport, EE, poison, outwit. Things like range combat expert and close combat expert. Do they apply? Like, if you mind control a character, do they still have? Let's say I mind control someone who has the power gem on. Now, are they like massive or?
So the equipment is a bit of a big one because I'm blanking on if that changed or not. I don't think it did. Didn't change. Perfect. So yeah, a mind-controlled character is not going to be able to use any equipment that's on them. And while I could go through and give you the list of yes, this works, yes, this doesn't, the easier thing is if it's a power or ability that needs to take an action, like outwit having those big gull caps free in front of it, the mind-controlled character cannot do it. Okay. If it doesn't have those big all caps, free, range, close, whatever, it works.
Okay, so like prob would work then.
Prob works so long as they have not used prob already this turn. So if the mind-controlled character probed the mind-control attack to try to get out of it, it's not going to be able to prob once the attack connects and it switches forces. But if it didn't prob the attack or something else earlier that turn, and you want to, use up its prob on your force so it can't use prob later, that works.
Yep.
Also, let's say I mind control a character, and I have a theme team starting out, but I understand with the new rules now, you don't have to have a character on your force share a keyword with the rest of your force in order to use theme prob.
Correct.
So if I mind control a character, can it also use theme prob?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So long as it's not probability control already.
Right.
Yeah.
As long as it still fits the criteria.
It will deduct from your theme prob uses, not your opponent's.
But then, like all of the passive,
nip that in the bud.
And then all of the passive stuff that is still out there, technically, you can use it. Things like precision strike and stuff like that. You will be able to use those during the attack.
Okay.
Or movement.
But not equipment.
Lead climb is passive now, right? Not equipment.
Yes.
Okay. And then also, another question was, I think we talked about this already though. How does free incapacitate work? If it says I may give each hit character an action token, can I choose not to and just assign the damage if I'm using free?
No.
It's one or the other. Either you're giving action tokens or you're giving damage. You can't pick and choose action tokens, damage, action tokens, damage.
Another question was about crit misses, and I've seen this on Facebook a little bit. So
this is my fault because I noticed it and brought it up to Jay.
So you guys know what I'm going to say here. If a crit miss immediately resolves, does that mean it can't be probbed, or should this say if the finalized attack roll?
I was thinking a different thing.
Yeah, this was not the direction I was expecting. Yes, you can prob crit misses. So the section of rules that immediately resolves in is dealing with finalized attack rolls. By the time you get to that finalized attack roll, you had an opportunity to prob.
Okay, so actually it's actually in the comprehensive rulebook right now. It's just the label of the section is finalized attack rolls.
I don't know if that's exactly the section, but yeah, it's in the section dealing with what happens when the attack roll's finalized.
If you look, and this is part of what I love about the comp, it being numbered, I'm in love with it. But as I explained, the first person asked me about this. If you look at it, prob
I can actually bring it up here.
Yeah.
Prob is in the section before, and then the whole crit miss, crit hit, everything is after that. So it had by layout.
Oh, Clix Nexus.
Hey.
Clix Nexus sighting. All right, so here we go. So finalized attack rolls.
I'm being quiet because I can't see anything.
Oh, because you're on your phone, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. Here's up a little bit more.
Up more?
You're looking 12.2.
Right here.
12.2
Finalized attack.
Or C.
Finalized attack roll. C. 12.2 C. So finalized attack roll.
Determine hits.
You're-
12.3.
You're just
determine-
at it.
12.3 determine hits. Okay. So once you determine the hit, so that's after. To determine a hit, the attacker takes their finalized attack total, and so they
Right. So
it's in sequential order here.
Basically, yeah. So probs are a little further up.
Yeah,
You go through the whole prob step, attack roll.
Yep.
And then 12.2 C, hit finalized attack roll, and then you're locked in. Then once you have your finalized attack total and roll, you go to determine hits, one of which is a critical miss is in there. So you see the critical miss when you get to that step, and you're checking, if I'm hit, miss, and you hit the critical miss, and immediately from there it ends. You resolve the action.
Okay, because my friend asked if this should say if the finalized attack roll, but I mean it's already implied because it's in that section. So okay.
Right, and I mean, might not be a bad idea to get that edit in if you want to send it over to WizKids, see if they agree. But
all right. So all right, and then another question was so you can prop crit misses for everybody out there watching.
Because they're not a crit miss until the rule's been finalized. Until then, it's just a 1/1.
So another question was, let's see. Brian, you can answer this, or Aries. For the WW80 equipment, if the object is removed from the game, can that same object be brought back into the game during a later turn? Or is the object considered KO'd, just not scored?
It's not KO'd. It removed from the game does score if it doesn't say otherwise. And I know this one says that the replacement thing that they have does say otherwise. You remove from the game without scoring. Once something goes out of the game, it's out of the game until something says it can come back into the game, like the Wonder Woman replacement effect.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you don't need a million of each equipment to cycle through. Just it goes out, comes back in as you take those actions. It works.
Okay.
Hey,
there
we go.
I'm back.
Yeah. Galley.
So Joe, we just asked one more question about about equipment. Brian answered the question about how if equipment gets removed from the game, the Wonder Woman equipment, they are not scored. It's not considered KO'd. They can be brought back in later. But also there was a question about interaction between Incap and Blades, but I think we already talked about that. Another common question that I notice people asking about on Facebook is about how many times is the number of maximum times Sky Tyrant can move half his speed after hitting? Because I know he has a double target. So can he go over to someone, hit two people with his dual target with his first attack, then hit two other characters with his second flurry, and then say he hits 4 characters, does he then move back 4 times?
No.
Twice.
Yeah.
So he moves back twice, even though he's got dual target.
Yes.
Right. If his effect triggers on hit, and hitting multiple characters with a single attack does not make that attack more than just a hit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, if he attacks 2 people with the first one and hits, he's fine. The second attack he hits, he's fine. He'll then be able to move 6 squares twice, so he'll get to dip out 12 squares.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is still pretty amazing.
I think it's farther than his charges. You're gaining a square.
Yeah, it's on the 50-point line. Yeah, he has 11 speed, so he would charge for 11, retreat for 12.
Yeah.
Also, There was a question. I mean, this is now like an older rules question, but about flurry and after resolutions effects. So let's say you. Just to give you an example, do you guys know the ABPI Hulk that gets rage tokens whenever he gets hit?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
yes, familiar.
So let's say somebody flurries on that Hulk. Do they get 1 rage token or 2 rage tokens after? So I mean, let me look up the.
Pulling up the. Always best to have the actual wording on hand.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, here we go. So when Hulk takes damage from an attack after resolutions, give him a rage token. Then the rest isn't really relevant. So yes, if you flurried that Hulk and you hit and damaged him twice, then you would have 2 triggers to give him a rage token after resolutions. So when the flurry resolves, you active player stacks up all the triggers in the order they want and just resolves them one by one. So 2 triggers would mean 2 tokens.
Yeah, okay. Same thing as like Steel Energy. If you had Steel Energy with a flurry and you hit twice, you would heal twice.
And that's the same thing with like Mystics too, right?
Yep.
Yes.
But also, I seem to remember there was a Deadpool, the Deadpool Prime, from Deadpool and X-Force. I'm trying to look it up to see the exact wording on him. I mean, this is obviously it's Silver Age, but Deadpool Prime. I'm taking a look at it.
Trying to find him.
Here he is. It says healing factor on the double. When Deadpool takes damage after actions resolve, roll a d6. Heal Deadpool of half the result. So, if you flurry him, you could theoretically KO him before he takes damage. He doesn't take damage in between each attack of the flurry. I mean, he doesn't.
Right.
He doesn't heal.
What's a heal damage between each attack?
Yeah. So, but that's not contradictory to anything else we just said, right? No.
Correct. Yeah. He'll take the damage, and then after resolutions, assuming he's still alive, for each instance of that effect being triggered, each time he took damage, he would roll the d6 and heal half.
Okay. Oh, right. So assuming he is still alive, then he'll heal twice.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, but he might not be still alive. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So I mean, those were all the questions I had from like people that were asking questions about different rulings. I mean, with the new rules out here now, are there any figures that you guys would say need errata?
I mean, aside from all the ones we went over before with the now passive powers that need to be addressed somehow, I don't think nothing really springs to mind as, being broken or needing to be tweaked.
I think everything that they knew was going to be an issue, they were proactive with that. Things like Immortal Hulk and stuff like that they put in those erratas about being able to push to get off that activation click. So yeah, I mean, again, really good on WizKids for being proactive instead of reactive, kind of, and being like, "Yep, we take your feedback. They didn't wait on it. Yep, you're right. These figures were made to be a certain way. We're gonna, make them continue to stay working that way." So, no, I mean, again, and it also shows kind of that WizKids has been creating all along down the road with these new rules in mind to make sure that they worked properly in conjunction with the rollout of the rules. So, I mean, no, I think everything looks pretty damn good so far.
Yeah.
No specific figure pops out.
What's that?
So no specific figure pops out. There's just general cleanup, which we'll get to.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, general cleanup is a good way of phrasing that. I mean, I the only one that I think about maybe that would be interesting if that, like, because it seems like it should have an activation click, would be Isaac's figure that he made. Red Sun Lex Luthor. But I mean, it's still a great figure. So.
Yeah.
So, the Scott Porter Invitational just happened this weekend. There were two different tournaments that were the main tournaments of the weekend outside of Battle Royales. It was Saturday was a Silver Age tournament with special rules, and Sunday was a 300-point Modern Age tournament. What is your preference, each of you, between Modern and Silver Age? And have you guys played much Silver Age?
Haven't played much Silver Age yet. I am excited to get into that though. Just the breadth of figures, the various wonky strategies to come up with all those different effects interacting. It looks like a lot of fun.
Sealed.
Sealed.
Okay. Silver. I enjoy sealed. I really enjoy. There's nothing better than opening up booster packs. It's one of the funnest things about the game. The chance of being able to pull something, or just being able to pull just complete garbage, and being like, all right, let's just try and piecemeal something together and really push, my skill set and see if I can turn chicken shit into chicken salad. So and going from there. I mean, I'm looking forward. I'm hoping I get an odd number of people for the event I'm gonna put together, just so I can be like, "Yep, I'm buying boosters and playing. Don't care. I'm gonna try and piece together something, and I'll probably pull garbage and be like, all right, here we go." I mean, people can say, oh, it's just about the odds of what you pull and this and that, but I mean.
Yeah,
We've seen
bullshit.
people who have pulled great stuff, and then we've seen people who have pulled mediocre stuff, but it gelled well and it played with synergy and things like that. What did Colossus pull against you, Pangrazio, in that WizKids Open?
He had Ironheart. He had something else. He had like 3 figures, and we talked about it because obviously we drove. For those that don't know, we drove down from my place to Connecticut the night before, played the tournament all day, and then drove back that night. So we had like 12 hours in the car together. What he said that was right, he goes, you just had the perfect, you could one-shot every piece on my team. That was the only reason why there was nothing I could do. But otherwise, he had a really, I remember Ironheart, I think he had maybe one of the Minotaurs. He had he came in second, so he had a really good team.
That's my point, though. It was very, it wasn't a super powerhouse team, but it was synergy. It played well together, and he piloted it really well. Yeah. So it shows that you had, you in poker terms, you flopped the nuts. You had the Chase Thor. You had a very powerhouse team. He, on the other hand, didn't, but was still able to pilot it properly and get to the finals. So, you had both ends of the spectrum in the finals. You had hey, I pulled, really good. And you had another guy who was like, I pulled okay, but I just piloted it really well. So it doesn't matter if it's modern or silver for me. I like to play sealed. I really do. If I had to choose, I'm super excited for silver as well. I have a whole bunch of Heroclix sitting here that I get to dust off. I get to, pull out some old Alpha Strike stuff now that's a little better with not having to cut down overdrives, movement, and things like that. So I've already got a 300 modern Alpha Strike team, and I can now merge that with an old Alpha Strike team and, start dropping some tanks again. So
I forgot the tank. When it first got announced, I forgot the tank was coming back, and I went, oh, no.
Absolutely. as long as they're not afraid to pull the trigger on some ban list stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to stay there. Like, all right, cool. We see that this is dominating. Let's put it on the ban list. Let's see how everything, pans out, and go from there. But as long as they're not afraid to ban stuff, I think that they can make silver really, really healthy.
And I've said it before other places, but I'll say it real quick here and then Anthony. But people have to remember too, because people are like, oh, they're not really going to ban anything. No. They showed us they were going to ban things. They put 2 things on the ban list. and they gave us a watch list. That was their message to us that players need to receive. We will ban things, but we're not going to ban things because you have spooky feelings about them and you think they're going to be too much of a problem. Let's see what's going to be a problem before we start hacking things off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, I think any kind of a ban list people can work around. You know,
And just because something winds up on the ban list doesn't mean it's there forever. They're gonna pay close attention to Silver Age. Things are going to get tweaked and watch listed and banned. Whatever they need to keep the format healthy, and if they can cycle them back in later as different things get released.
Well, let me ask.
And that's what players need to remember, because Heroclix has never had a ban list before, so that's where people see it and they go, "Oh no, it's gone forever. Now I can never play Fast Horses Penguin." And it's like, no, you can. Just give it some time.
It's not healthy in that format. That's that's why it's not there.
Right.
And
although, I mean, Fast Horses Penguin, if that thing ever gets out of Heroclix jail, eat my hat. But
Heroclix jail, I like that term.
That's the thing. Like, there might be things that are healthy in Modern that aren't healthy in Silver because of interactions of older figures. So I mean, we can make the comparison, but we see that with like Magic. There are things that are legal in Modern, but are banned in like Extended or in EDH or whatever the case is because of older cards and the interaction with that particular thing. There are going to be interactions with older figures and newer figures that weren't ever meant to be together. So
WizKids is not balancing the sets they've released against everything that's come out before. It's just that's not feasible.
No,
they're only ever going to be worried about the environment they're getting released into, and which means Silver, they're going to need to be a little proactive about.
Yeah, big picture is that they are going to be building all of their sets for what their bread and butter is, and that's 300 Modern. And then Silver Age is the alternative play style. So they're going to build and create their figures for 300 Modern because that's what has always been there. And then they're going to look at things on the other side of it and be like, okay, what we just created is really going to destroy this. So let's axe it here, but it's good there.
Yeah.
Well, I actually, what you guys were saying about the band list actually makes me think of a question that I asked Pat Yapoko and Mr. Clixo and Jeff Bullard and the guys over Majestics when I was interviewing them, was about Silver Age, and it was about do you currently WizKids officially with Silver Age they said that ID cards are watch listed. Do you think that they should be banned, or do you think that they should be changed?
I would prefer them being banned to being changed. I'm not sold that they need to be banned, but I wouldn't miss them if they went.
I'll double down on that. I mean, people have looked for people look forward to ID cards rotating out for a very long time. Well, we're finally there. And kind of without ID cards, Modern is very healthy right now.
Yeah.
So to then create a whole nother play style and to have them in there, you're kind of stepping backwards with that Silver Age. Like you're basically already kind of setting it down a path that people were happy when they were gone. So if it was me, I would axe them. Hey, I'm glad you guys have them in your, or maybe even just like kind of go through and cherry pick some and be like, yeah, these ID cards are gone, but these ID cards are good. And then maybe in another season say, okay, we're going to take these off the ban list and we're going to flop these onto the ban list. It's like, you can make it a rotating door. So
for those that don't know, there is going to be a Silver Age tournament at Clix Cup on Sunday. So I already had to deal with this. And my solution was to try and take a middle ground. You are allowed, I believe I said, 2 ID cards per force.
That's
because
cool.
It's not that ID cards were a problem as their own thing. They were problematic, but they weren't a problem. It was the spam. It was the the round table, the Quinjet, the Blackbird. That was the problem. So if it became, so I said, let's do 2. I could even say as a general rule, 1 ID card per 100 points of the force of build.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
like
that's what people don't want. They don't want they don't want. I have 18 ID cards because I have 15 suited henchmen, and I can just pick and pick what I want.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a good solution because I mean, that's one sort of similar to what I was thinking with ID cards was maybe just up their point cost to like 10, and that would discourage people from playing as many. But I think your solution is even better because like just limiting it, like having a straight cutoff on the team, that would be good. If people like playing ID cards, which I know they're very unpopular, so a lot of people don't like playing. I don't know if people don't like playing with them or they don't like the game with them in it.
Yeesh. I ran a lot of ID card tentpole calling teams, Weird, Proteus, and such.
Mm-hmm.
So I really can't, knock anyone for playing them, but I do think the game is better off without them. Those sorts of stuff. We actually have to have interactivity between what's on the board.
Yeah.
Here's the irony. I never ran ID card teams ever because I'm lazy and I don't want to pack the figures. And I hate the one thing I hated during that time was I can play against things on the map because I can interact with things on the map.
Mm-hmm.
When your Alpha Strike disappears because you can call it in, kill something, and then whoop, I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah.
It's kind of ironic that I'm like, yeah, leave them in a little bit because I hated them and I never used them. But
Yeah, and that's like, if it was me, like I play a lot of really aggressive teams. So for me to say get rid of ID cards goes against like the teams that I used to play. I would bring, Sam Cap up and drop out a Wolverine and flurry you and then try and pull her away so that Wolverine would go away. Like that was part of the strategy in the Alpha Strike.
Yeah.
So for me to be like, nah, get rid of them shows that like I can still pilot that team and potentially do good and actually have Sam Cap just make an attack instead of calling in somebody. So
yeah, and also another question I was going to ask was, well, go ahead, Brian. What were we going to say?
No, you're good. You're good.
Well, just one other question I was gonna ask was just because you also, I know you guys were talking about Sealed and how you were playing Captain America and the Avengers, and that's really like the last time that we got to play consistently in person. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
But what is your opinion on online play?
I'll go last.
Yeah.
All right, I'll just jump right. I hate it.
Okay.
I understand the appeal from other people, the interaction, staying sharp and things like that. I have said it and I'll say it again. It's just so like I play on a laptop, so there's a lot of moving parts for me personally. So I feel kind of guilty because I'm scatterbrained. I'm clicking through multiple pages. I'm trying, and I feel like I'm not. And we see it with other people who have played too, that maybe they're not doing it intentionally, but some turns take very long, especially with online play, because you don't have all of the things in front of you. I can't look at your dials and look at your cards and do those kinds of things. So sometimes I feel like I'm not giving a fair opportunity to my opponent to get the time that they deserve to play the game. And I'm not doing it intentionally, and I'm not slow playing them. It's just that there's so many different things going on at once on one screen that it's more frustrating to me personally to play it because I feel like I'm having it's a poor experience for my opponent because of how long it takes me to get things organized.
And I've done a fair bit of, or was doing a fair bit of playtesting back before the pandemic online with some of the other pushing people. So the transition to this wasn't that big a deal for me, but I mean, man, it is not the same as in-person play. I can deal with it. I've played a couple online events. I ran an online event. It's doable. It's fun. I do enjoy it, but I mean, it's just a pale imitation of the real thing.
Yeah.
I'm happy it's there. I'm happy it was here for this year. I wish HCO had still existed. But it's, what I kept calling it was the best of bad choices. Like,
right.
And there are good things for it. But what I have said privately, and I'll say now because let's stir some things up, it's not Heroclix. I don't consider it the same game. I think it's fun. It's using the same pieces. It's using the same rules. But the difference between even Jay Patel, I've used his clickable dials and his whole rooms, and they're amazing. They're fantastic.
Yeah.
Not Heroclix. It's not the feeling and the play that I get when I sit down at a table and look at a map and set my.
Yep.
Yeah. And then, I mean, people have made accusations and things about the rolling and the macros and how they're set up, and it is, I mean, heartbreaking to virtually. I watched some of the Matt Dunham versus Brad Broyles matchup, and to watch him go back-to-back fours, he then rolled like an 8 or a 9 or something like that, and then go 4 again and then 3 again. Like, all right, like some wow, like if I'm rolling dice and I do that, okay, but like to virtually get kicked in my nuts like that, I'm tossing the iPad out the room or whatever. Like that, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's not like you're rolling. It's just I'm hitting a button. Okay, virtual.
It is truly random, and I think a lot of people have dice, because plastic dice aren't, all that great. I think a lot of people have dice that are just a little bit weighted, and that's my lucky pair, because there's, unbeknownst to them, a little air bubble somewhere in there that's throwing it. And now they're seeing actually random results, and it feels like they're getting
hey,
into the shins.
If WizKids makes the dice and I roll them, make better dice, man. Like, I don't know.
My brother
came over the other day. Ricky actually came over the other day and we played, and we were just goofing around and playing, and he probbed me, I think, 3 times, and it was like a miss, I probbed, a hit, he probbed again, I hit, probbed again, and the last one was a crit hit. And he goes, not roll 20 dice, nothing I can do. Because we did that in a couple tournaments. With the algorithm, even though if it's truly random, you keep probbing, it's going to change because it's truly random.
Right.
It's not going to just, but whatever.
No, I mean, my brother, I asked, this was like, was it this year? It might have been this year, that I was thinking of starting a D&D campaign. And, my brother plays D&D a lot. And so I asked him, like, hey, I know I'm going to get a group together. We're going to start something up, on, and he's like, well, how are we going to play? I'm like, roll 20. And he said no. Like he's not, he's like, I will not roll digital dice. He will not do it.
I have a D&D group that we do through Roll20. One of my players will roll physical dice and just tell us what the result is.
Yeah,
and it's D&D. I mean, if you're cheating dice in D&D, there's something deeply wrong with you. So that's whatever, but you can't do that with Clix.
So let me ask you guys something about, the Scott Porter Invitational just happened. It was a great success. Very thankful. I'm very thankful that that he was able, that everybody in the community was able to raise that much money for such a great cause. There were some interesting prizes in that event. Definitely really cool prizes. And one of them was to make your own POG, your own bystander. One of them was to create a legacy card, and one of them was to create a JSAClix in your likeness, like a sculpt in your likeness that is paintable, and you can put it on any base, and it would be WizKids legal. So I just as like kind of a final question to you guys at the end of this. What would you do for each of those? What type of a bystander would you make if you had the chance to make a bystander, and what would it do? What would your legacy card be that you would bring back? And I guess for the final question, if you were making a JSAClix, what would it look like? What would you be holding? What kind of props would you have? Like, who wants to start?
I mean, let's break them down one by one. Let's do bystanders, and so everyone gives an answer.
Sure, let's do the bystander first.
Yeah, if it was all right. So for bystander, if it was me, it would be like full rage bystander. It would be like my first live video that I did, yelling at people about commenting on others' posts about prices and
Move
stuff.
it along.
Absolutely. So it would be like Battle Fury and like Charge, and it would just be like it would be like full rage Ares. I'll send you the picture of that I use on HIE when I have to, and it's just it would be just full on screaming, and that would be it. So that would be my bystander.
So like a combination of like Chewie and like Jonathan and like the chainsaw ×2 or something like that.
It would just be me. It would probably be a Charge, some Battle Fury because I'm just, and then like I don't even know if I would need anything. It would probably be like a low attack too because I'd be so angry I would swing and miss and fall or something. So like not even worrying about it.
And Joe, what would your bystander be?
So, I think this question's funny because first off, I wouldn't necessarily want to put myself on a bystander because I'm weird that way. But I did make a bystander. It's just not WizKids legal. It's Vanilla Ice for the Turtles. And he gives everybody sidestep. It's go ninja, go ninja, go. I'm going to read you the powers. It's time to write them. His movement power is go ninja, go ninja, go. Friendly characters can use sidestep. They can use it a second time if they can already use it from another game effect. He has Incap, which is Iceman. You know I'm not playing because Iceman always have Incapacity. Gonna rock the town without being seen. Super senses. A 16. I mean, he's easy to kill. And then the damage is give it up for those heroes in green. Vanilla Ice cannot have his damage increased by any game effect. Vanilla Ice is not dealt critical miss damage. Because he's just dancing on the stage, encouraging everybody else to get out there and fight.
That's awesome.
Love it.
Brian, what do you think? What would your bystander be?
So if I was going to get bystander, well, Anthony Barnstable and I have a sort of running thing of who can get to the rulings faster. So
gotta have hypersonic.
Hypersonic, and I guess Perplex probably. It's
the old double step feet as a trait.
Absolutely.
Double time.
Yeah.
I would say probably probability control because you'll get over there and be like, nope, you're playing that incorrectly. You got to do it another way.
There we go.
And so, what about, let's talk legacy cards. What would you bring back and how would you change it?
That's an easy one for me. Arcade. That old Avengers Assemble arcade. Yeah.
That's
yeah. I played the shit out of that guy. The just the him messing around with the team with the map rolls and all is on its own really nice. But tweak it to work on a different map. Obviously, we can't use the same map. Yeah, no, arcade.
And Joe, what would your legacy card be?
I have two answers because one of them could never, ever, ever, ever happen. I don't think. And I literally was thinking about this on my birthday when I was just secluded from the world. I'm like, what would be a really cool legacy figure to do? The one that cannot happen, but I would love if it did, is the Heroclix Cthulhu and make him Heroclix compatible. That's all you have to do. Redo it. But people still, like, I love that piece. I don't have it. I want to have it because reasons. But, like, people still pay through the nose for him because he's such a cool looking sculpt.
I have been shouting at every WizKids contact I have to do a Cthulhu convention exclusive one of these days.
That's what I was thinking, too. I licensed to print money.
It's public domain. There are no licensing fees. It's
Yeah, absolutely. The one that's a little more realistic that I would love to do too, though, as I look at him up on his perch, is the retail Colossal Manhattan.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
Make him not as crazy, but still his values are crazy. Well, his values aren't that crazy actually. Modern. But
Yeah, like they could actually legacy card figures and nerf them if they were too powerful in the past, like certain figures, instead of making them better.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
yeah.
Aries, what would yours be?
I mean, it's a very easy choice for me. He just needs to be.
there you go.
He needs to be a little better than what he was. I mean, his stats were great, but phasing top dial 275 points, like he could use some modern love, shave him down a little bit, give him a move and attack. The new Aries is fantastic. But yeah, that sculpt too is pretty amazing.
Let me ask you something, Aries. So with that particular Aries figure that you have there, he's 275 points. If he were put out today, how many points would you make him?
I mean, it would also depend on what they would do with him too. I feel like he doesn't need to be like, he's only got Mystic's team ability, so he doesn't have a way to pull action tokens off of himself. So if he got something like Cosmic Energy, where he could pull some action tokens off of himself, maybe give him a trait where he gets like Running Shot, and Charge or something along those lines, but then also give him a trait that is a penalty towards him. Like I would see him probably around like 225, maybe. I mean, in today's standards, I mean, I would also maybe even give him a second line to start him off at too, just so he's a little more playable than what he was. I would also bring back Ben Crawler as well, because that was probably one of the best night crawlers that we've ever seen, and it's one of those. It's one of the figures that I first got when I got back into playing Heroclix from Web of Spider-Man. I just never was able to track down the Ben Chewing like variant of him. So it was just a good Nightcrawler.
And last question: what would you guys do for a Switch Clix? Like, what would you make? What would it look like?
Simple. It would be full Philadelphia Worlds Aries. It'd be a pair of camo cargo shorts with Timberland boots and a hoodie, carrying a Monster energy drink. That's it. Maybe have like a little tackle box with me. Call it a day.
Brian, what would yours be?
I would need to have a rule book or something in my hands.
Nope.
Just stack of rule books of the pack balanced on top.
It'd be like a Flash sculpt where he'd be like, but he'd have like a rule book in his hand. His hair would be like all flying backwards. He would have bloodshot eyes because he's been up for 28 hours.
And Joe, yours, the last one.
The old Impossible Man Connelly. So it'd be me with my big old belly and a Hawaiian shirt, but in that pose, holding the PAC, just floating in the air, reading it.
The old floating cross-legged.
Yep. Old Zen Hatton pose.
Yep.
Damn.
Well,
I switched. Boring now. You living like a New England idiot.
That's because you went first. You never go first.
Yeah.
Gary's like, I changed mine now.
No, it's what it is.
Okay, guys. So, thank you very much for joining me. I think
thanks for having us.
Yeah, this has been great. This has been a great conversation. I always enjoy talking Clix, and I don't think people talk enough about the rules. you know, or maybe they do. Maybe they talk too much about the rules. We'll see.
You need to spend more time reading the rules.
Reading the rules. Yeah, that's.
Why would you read the rules?
Yeah, why would you actually read the rules?
Ask on Facebook.
Yeah.
How many? What
Listen,
percentage of
you
players
just
do you
have
think
to
have actually
consult
read the
your
entire
totem.
rulebook? What?
Third,
You just have to consult your totem, and they will tell you the correct answers. You don't need
Yeah.
the rule book.
30% of Heroclix players have actually read the rule book.
I hope it's that high.
30%.
I really hope it's that high.
Have actually read the comprehensive and the full pack. Most of the damn answers you can get right out of the pack.
I'd settle for everyone just reading the pack. It's.
I settle for everyone bringing the PAC with them to a game. And then when they have a question, looking down and going, what's this say? Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, everybody. This has been great. Thank you, Aries. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Joe. Pangrazio. Brian Galley. Aries Edge. You've been watching Coffee and Clicks. Don't forget, everybody, wake up and smell the clicks. Good night, everybody.